and the portion of art and culture. I did not write it under the under the heading of history. Please understand that. I have segregated the portion of, if you read the notification, you will not be taking anything for granted. Whatever I say can be wrong as well. You will test it for yourself. If you read the notification of this year or last year, you will find whatever I have written there in the syllabus. History, a geography of India and world. This is not our prerogative. I will not be elaborating that. When you look at history, you will find modern Indian history. Right? Which is a part of the syllabus for mains. Should you find post-independence? Yes. Post-independence. Would you find world history? Also yes. These are all elements for your mains. And when you look at art and culture, that means drama, dance, architecture, music, painting, throughout the phase of ancient towards medieval, towards modern. That means modern architecture. Is it a part of mains? Yes. Is it a part of the portion of art and culture? The answer is yes. Please write it down. So here, when we talked about ancient, medieval and modern, what is the element that we are highlighting? Time, nothing else. That means the time period of ancient India, the time period of medieval India, the time period of modern India, and the development towards art and culture during this phase. So I hope you got some clarity, right? Please write it down. I will proceed forward. You want any clarity, you have any follow-up questions, you can ask. You have the liberty to ask any question that you have, please. The modern Indian history starts with decline of the Mughals. You are asking or telling? Telling. तो मान लेता हूँ मैं. Asking होगा तो फिर मैं I can give you some added dimensions. Decline of Mughal से modern India. ठीक है, देखो. There is something known as perspectives of history, ना? नजरिया अगर बदल लेते हैं. If we change the way we look at things, that means I read. When I see your observation, I can understand. You see the transition from medieval to modern with the decline of the Mughals. But is it the only dimension to look at the beginning of modern India? Probably not. You will grow this way of thinking of yours as well. Some scholars see beginning of modern India as a transition. That means beginning of colonial rule, which is more correct. What is the beginning point of modern India? Can anybody tell? As per the notification of your syllabus, middle of 18th century, that means 1750s. What is the major milestone? Suppose I check, here a student has remarked that decline of Mughals is the beginning of modern India. So I would like to counter that. When did the Mughals decline? Yes? Rise of colonialism. नहीं, मुगल कब decline होता है? 1707, नहीं मानता. अब लड़ाई का माहौल है. तुम लोग भी शांत थे बहुत देर तक, ठीक है? When did the Mughals decline? It is a very difficult question to answer. Aurangzeb time, all right. It took some, that is the most correct answer. It took some period. Post 1707, that means there is a phase of decline. Chalo, I will accept. This is closer to being correct. Again, I am saying that the Mughals declined for nearly 150 years. Would you disagree? Suppose some of the gentlemen here, you are saying that 1707, which is not wrong either. And actually, Bahadur Shah Zafar, right? Revolt of 1857. What is the precise number of years? 150. More than the British rule. British Crown rule began in 1858. They left India in 1947, 90 years. Mughals declined for 150 years. That means this is perspective of history. So then why did we say that we are noting, we are identifying 1750 to be the beginning of modern India? नहीं बेटा, अभी हम लोग झगड़ा कर रहे हैं ना. अभी नहीं, अभी we are arguing, बहस कर रहे हैं हम लोग. नहीं, अभी रुक जाओ. I am saying that 1750s, if I am saying marks the beginning of modern India, what is the particular event we are looking into? Anybody? Battle of Plassey. That is precisely what we are looking at. We are looking at an event. Similarly, we look at beginning of Indian national movement. What is the particular event we are looking into? 1857 revolt. When we say this is your, that means your focus area should be defined. We are very precise. Whatever we will speak, there has to be a solid backing. Nothing is random. We will work on the way you think, you perceive, and you reflect your ideas. It has to be all coordinated. You're preparing for civil services. It is not random. So again, once again, let me recapitulate. When we look at 1750s, what is the particular event we're looking at? Revolt, that is Battle of Plassey. When you look at beginning of Indian national movement, what is the particular event we're looking at? Revolt of 1857. Similarly, we say struggle for independence or freedom struggle, beginning of 1920s. What is the particular event we're looking at? Chalo, I will accept. Satyagraha is not wrong either. One major milestone that helped, that means alienated us from the British Raj. Non-cooperation, you're not wrong here. You're right. Any other particular event happening in that transition? When Mahatma Gandhi pehle aa jata hai. Yes, closer. Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Jallianwala Bagh massacre of 1919 marks the beginning of Indian struggle for freedom. So that is the event we are looking at. Again, perspectives, na? Chalo, what is it that you are asking? What perspective? वो सवाल के ऊपर डिपेंड करता है. There are many scholars. Yes, there are many scholars. Many books of history, all right. कहाँ जाना है? You are reading history. All right, very good. Congratulations. All right. First time history, you're reading first time history. Throughout in 20 years, you have reading history. After, all right, then. किताब को पहले खरीदना है. First step, go to a book shop. पैदल जाना है. उसके बाद पैसे पकड़ाने हैं, किताब खरीदना है, घर लेके आना है, उसके बाद किताब को खोलना है. अब देखना धीरे धीरे पता लगेगा. We will work on that. रुक जाओ. All of you have written. We will work on that. Nothing develops overnight. It will take some time. Right? So far, all of you have written. All right. Suppose we are looking at. Suppose we want to look at the phases of history, right? That means phases. You will start making notes now. We have started the portion of ancient and medieval Indian history. So we will look at the phases of India's past. Acha, suppose some of you have learned certain portions of modern Indian history. You have some clarity on modern Indian history. Acha, if I ask the question, who is the father of the discipline of history? You understand discipline? That means as a subject. Suppose you have graduated from a particular subject, right? So history follows certain protocol, certain disciplinary measures as a subject. So who is known as the father of history? Herodotus. Chalo, brilliant. Herodotus is known as the father of history. Right? Historica is the earliest work on history as per accepted by European scholars. That is our key understanding. Now, if you read Historica, if you read the work of Herodotus, you will find some set parameters. The book will have certain qualities, dimensions, prakriti. The similar kind of parameters, any Indian scholar, should he or she necessarily follow? No. I hope you are getting that. That means the book of Herodotus will follow certain set parameters. In India, will you, if you're not accustomed to it, if you're not aware about it, would you write on similar lines? No. That means if I ask the question, we have some scholars on history as well. If I ask that, what is the earliest indigenous account? Indigenous means in India. Earliest indigenous account following the parameters of history. Can anybody answer? Yes. Very good. Raj Tarangini, authored by Kalhan. Excellent. Now, beta, what is our training? We are not same. We are not equal. We understand that. Whatever you do not know, you will write it down. That is the approach. That is the perspective. Today, I do not know. If I remain ignorant tomorrow, that is my fault now. I today do not know Raj Tarangini and Kalhan, but once I have accustomed myself to this name and the author, I should be writing it at least. This is our perspective. I do not expect from you that you will know everything. We will keep on trying. That is a Sanskrit term known as cheshta. You will constantly endeavor towards being fine. So that is our approach. Again, मुझे सब कुछ पता है. Am I aware about everything? Not at all. I know nothing. Again, it is the process of learning. This is an academic environment. So again, if you do not know anything, do not feel insecure about it. Tomorrow you will be knowing about it. Fine. So I'm saying that the book of Herodotus, Herodotus known as the father of the discipline of history, right? The subject of history. Now I'm saying that the earliest indigenous account following the trends of history, that is Raj Tarangini, authored by Kashmiri historian Kalhan, right? Now, in India, most of the books that were written, they did not follow the traditions of history in the European sense of the term. Did you understand? I am saying that the books in India, suppose you read Ramayana, you read Mahabharat, you read Sila Padikaram, you read Manimekalai, several epics, Puranas, will they follow traditions of history? No. That means in India, as per European sense of the term, the books on history were limited in number. I hope it is clear. That means towards the transition towards modern India, many European scholars, evangelists, that means Christian missionaries, Orientalists, Indologists, Anglicists, these are terminologies. That means Max Muller, for example, Alexander Cunningham, for example, Percy Brown, for example, many scholars on these lines, they work tirelessly to understand India's past. Among which there is James Mill, a scholar, his name is James Mill. Now, suppose there is an officer of East India Company, he would want to, or will be posted in India. He will have to learn about the ways of life of India and learning about culture, historical traditions of the past. This is an essential process. That is why you are also learning about it, right? So here they will read the volumes authored by James Mill. Now Mill's volume saw India into three phases. First phase, Hindu period. Second phase, Muslim period. Third phase, secular period. Did you understand? When, suppose, I have an observation about the class, try to follow the logic. It will talk about the class or it will also talk about who I am. Both. Do you understand? Again, when Mill saw India, when he saw India, that means with his categorization, what can we remark about Mill as well? He saw India from the eyes of religion. That means the categorization was on the lines of his religious views. If I say that India's ancient past was predominantly Hindu, will I be right or wrong? I will be wrong. If I say the medieval Indian history was dominated by or was determined by Islam, am I right or wrong? I am also wrong. Again, if I say the British period, the colonial government was secular, will I be right or wrong? I will also be wrong. That means these are just perspectives. We're going to work on that. That means the way Mill saw, that was from the eyes of religion. Now Mill wrote these volumes on India, and the English civil servants would read these particular volumes. Later on, by 1960s, there is another scholar whose name is D.D. Kosambi. Just 2 minutes of this experience, that is it. Because we treat you with, again, prospective civil servant, you should be aware about how we are here. That means what are the phases that led to here, to this discussion, to this lecture. Now, D.D. Kosambi was a Marxist scholar and an eminent historian. By 1970s, he recalibrated India's past and defined it under three phases. What are the three phases? Number one, ancient instead of Hindu period. Medieval instead of Muslim period. And modern instead of secular period. That means it is a chronological understanding of India's past. Now we will further work on that. This is the categorization we are still learning. That is the framework of our syllabus. Coming to our discussion, we are looking at the phases of India's past. I hope you got this discussion. Any question? Right, see, when we look at India's past, suppose we have to set a parameter now, on what basis are you creating this categorization? So this categorization is on the basis of sources of information. That means this categorization of India's past is on the basis of sources of information. Now you will ask that what are the sources of information? Give us some understanding regarding the sources of information. So what do we understand as sources of information? Can you help me out? On what basis we can deduce India's past? Sources of information, number one will be literary and other one will be material, that means archaeological. If you do not know, you will now remember. You will still forget, that is human nature. Do not panic, do not take stress. You write and you keep on doing this repetitive task. After a while you will become comfortable. That is the approach, na? आज नहीं पता, मैं science background से हूँ. This is not an excuse. तुम्हें धीरे धीरे जो है you have to keep on working on it. See, sources of information is of two types, na? Literary and archaeological. Give me some example of archaeological information, sources of information. Suppose coins. From coins we can understand, from inscriptions. Yes, monuments. Monuments can be another example. Fine. Now give me some literary sources of information. Can I say foreign? Yes, foreign literature. Can they talk about India? Yes. For example, Indica of Megasthenes, right? Any indigenous literature, can it give information about India's past? Yes, it can. That means literature or literary sources can be of two types, foreign and indigenous, right? Now, different phases will be understood from different texts. For example, Kautilya's Arthashastra will help us comment on the Mauryas, right? For example, Kamandaka, his literary work Niti Sara or Niti Shastra will help us understand about the Gupta period. For example, Amuktya Malyada, you do not have to write it down, we'll gradually be learning about it. Amuktya Malyada, authored by Krishna Deva Rai, will help us understand Vijayanagara and Bahmani kingdom. For example, Tabaqat-e-Nasiri by Minhaj Siraj will help us understand the early phase of Delhi Sultanate. Similarly, these are list of indigenous accounts, right? Now, on the basis of sources of information, how we can understand? Now, this is to help you understand sources of information, right? Can they overlap? How can they overlap? Very good. The overlapping example is inscriptions. Inscription, that means Shila Lake. That means on stone, it is inscribed. The stone block in itself, it is archaeological or literary? Archaeological. But the content, it is literary or? It is literary, of course, it is not archaeological. So I hope you understand the overlapping elements. Suppose coins in itself, archaeological or literary? Archaeological. But on coins, in most or some of the coins, not all of them, in coins we may find an image, we may find a legend. A legend means a small inscription that is literary in account. So thereby they might be overlapping as well. Coming back to our discussion. We have an example, stupa. Stupa should be primarily archaeological. In the panels, in the toranas, you may find some inscription, but they are rare in character. Anyways, when you look at phases of Indian history, the first element is prehistory. On what basis are we saying prehistory? Would you find archaeological sources? Archaeological sources. I hope you understand archaeological sources, material sources, tangible, which you can touch. Yes. Would you find literary sources of information? Literary sources. Would you find it? The answer is no. This is what defines prehistory. That means only source of information to comment on it is archaeological. Any example of prehistory? Example will be, for example, or examples will be Paleolithic. That means primarily Stone Age. Very good. Paleolithic, Mesolithic. I can also write Neolithic and Chalcolithic. This in its entirety, this will be a part of prehistory. That means throughout this entire phase, you will not be finding any literary sources. All you will find is archaeological sources. I hope it is clear. Any time period of prehistory, if I have to give you, again, it is a very difficult job. If I have to give you a timeline, I will write here Sarka, C dot. I will explain what Sarka is, what is BC, what is CE. Give me some time. Time period will be 2 million years ago. To Sarka, C-I-R-C-A, Sarka, 2000 BCE. This is approximately. There is no hard and fast rule for it. 2 million years ago, 2 MYA, to 2000 BCE. Please write it down. Our next categorization is proto-history. Prehistory, next is proto-history. Please understand the classification of proto-history. It is exclusive to India. and nowhere else. That means generally we find prehistory and history. In Indian subcontinent, we find pre, then proto, and then we have the beginning of history. Proto means beginning, marking the beginning of history of India, right? When we say proto-history, should you find archaeological sources? Yes. Archaeological sources. Yes. Should you find literary sources? Literary sources? Yes. Then where is the catch? That is yet to be deciphered. What is the example of proto-history? Example, Indus Valley civilization. What is the time period? That will be 2600 BCE to 1900 BCE. Again, Sarka. Acha, Muskan, we have a question, sir. It is 2.5 million years ago, beginning of Paleolithic era. So it does not, it is a never-ending kind of a discussion. Do not indulge into that. 0.5 million can come and go very easily. So it is not a matter of our discussion. Again, throughout the world, civilizations came and they went. The time period is vaguely, it may match. So again, whatever you will find over the internet, it is not necessarily true. हमें जो है major जो data है उसको merge करना पड़ता है, and we try to give that information. So far, whatever we have written, you please write it down. Na? We will work on that. Your understanding of time matters the most. We will work on your concept building, right? So that is the time period for proto-history. I hope all of you have written. The next categorization is history. What is the source? Should you find archaeological sources? Archaeological sources. The answer is yes. Would you find literary sources? Literary sources. The answer is also yes. And it is also deciphered. That means we can read whatever has been written. Example. What should be the example of history? Vedic period onwards. Vedic period onwards. Time period, roughly speaking, time period should be circa 1500 BCE, BCE onwards. Please write it down. And also it is a sincere request. You will try to be very isolated while you learn. जितना हो सके आपस में बातचीत कम करो ना. हो जाता है. I also understand it's a large crowd. कोशिश करो कि you discover yourself ना. It is a journey you have to traverse. You have to walk independently. तुम लोगों से यही रिक्वेस्ट है कि discover yourself in isolation. वो कॉलेज के एनवायरनमेंट कोशिश करो कि ना ही हो, बेहतर है. You have to face your challenges, your problems on your own. Then only you will grow. Then only you will become better. ना पहले कोशिश करो खुद से करने की. I hope all of you have written. Again, शुरू में देखो एडजस्टमेंट में भी प्रॉब्लम होता है. हैंड राइटिंग नहीं समझ में इतना ब्रिलियंट हैंड. खैर, इफ यू फेस एनी प्रॉब्लम विद लेजिबिलिटी ऑल्सो प्लीज आस्क. आई विल हेल्प यू आउट. So this is the categorization of history. Have a look. This is how we have categorized developments of India's past. On what parameter? That is sources of information. We have prehistory, we have proto-history, and we have history. Take some time, let it consolidate, we'll build another idea. I hope you remember I have written here 2 million years ago towards 2000 BC. We will work on that. See, before I proceed, that means we will start with prehistory basically. That is our beginning of our syllabus. That is, we'll start with prehistory. Before I begin, this is the book list. This is only once I will have this discussion. It is my sincere request. I have only one chance. You will read the book of R.S. Sharma, and that is Oxford Publications. Nothing else. I have no other recommendations. If you tell me you have read one book, I will encourage. In my lectures, I will cover many books. Does not mean that I want to trouble you. Some of you will be reading Tamil NCERT, some of you will be reading old NCERT. It is absolutely fine. I will never say that this book is bad or good. Every book has something to offer. If you read Lucent, it is also going to be wise. I am not going to discourage it either. ये discussion जो है self defeating होता है. एक तो ये भी होता है out of confusion, out of fear, you keep on asking that which book should I be. देखो इसका इमेज भी मैं दिखा दे रहा हूँ, तो मैं डिस्कशन यहीं पे खत्म हो जाएगा. मैंने देखा है लास्ट क्लास तक ये डिबेट चलता है. इसमें ईच कहाँ है? अच्छा, ऐसे कौन? ये कैसा स्टाइल है? देखो, लेट मी गिव यू सम क्लैरिटी. तुम लोगों के पास किसी के पास किताब होगा, ये उसका तस्वीर होगा, है ना? ये ओल्ड एनसीईआरटी है. ये दिस इज ओल्ड एनसीईआरटी. दैट मीन्स उसका एडिशन देखोगे. इफ आई डू नॉट रिमेंबर इट एक्यूरेटली, बट द लास्ट प्रिंट और समथिंग 1999. दिस इज द सेम वर्जन, दैट मीन्स एडिटेड. दिस इज आर सेम ऑथरशिप, याद रखना. दिस या ये उसका हुलिया होगा. दिस विल बी दी कोलोफोन, राइट? अब ये दोनों में से कुछ पैसे पकड़ने हैं दुकानदार को और ख़रीद लेना है, राइट? इसको पढ़ाई करना. चलो, यू हैव टू स्टार्ट रीडिंग दिस बुक्स. ये दीज टू आर सेम. गंगाधर ही शक्तिमान है. कंफ्यूज नहीं होना कि ये अरे इसका शक्ल अलग है, क्या करूँ मैं. घबराते हुए बहुत लोगों को देखा है मैंने. दिस एवरीथिंग दैट यू सी इज सेम. दे आर ऑल द सेम बुक्स. नो डिस्कशन देयर. सम पीपल हैव परचेज दिस. इट इज़ एब्सोल्युटली फाइन. क्यों मैं मना करता हूँ? लुक एट द लॉजिक. सपोज there is a site, for example, Utnur, UTNOOR. Utnur, the text say it is in Tamil Nadu or something like that. It says it is in Andhra Pradesh. I don't remember it exactly. Utnur is in Telangana today. So Andhra Pradesh got divided into Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. तो राइट, बहुत सारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट चेंज हुए हैं, तो इसके लिए बाउंड्रीज हैव रीशेप्ड. इफ यू हैव अ न्यूअर एडिशन, यू विल नो अबाउट द रिसेंट नेम्स. इफ यू आर फ्रॉम महाराष्ट्र और मे बी इफ यू आर एन अवेयर सिटीजन, यू विल नो दैट औरंगाबाद रिमेन्स संभाजी नगर टुडे. इफ यू आर अवेयर अबाउट द रिसेंट नेम्स, तो रिसेंट बॉर्डर डिमार्केशंस, यू विल बी अवेयर. इस किताब को इस्तेमाल कर सकते हो. ये तो कोई रैंडम डिस्कशन है नहीं. If you find a site, you will figure it out where it is. You have access to internet. If you already possess the book, do not go that ये किताब अब ज़ाया हो गया. बचपन तो है नहीं कि नया किताब चाहिए. Again, if you purchase any of these versions, again, this is the definition of a textbook. When you will season, you will mature, you need to read textbooks. Information books are good. We are not against it. For example, some of you have learned modern India. Suppose Spectrum, it is an information book. It is not a textbook. It is also good. I'm not saying that it is not. For example, in Politica, some of you have completed Polity. There is D.D. Basu and there is Lakshmikant. That is absolutely fine. We are not again. मेरी बात को एकदम नहीं समझना कि every book has something to offer. We are not against any textbook. But Subhas Kashyap is an author, is a scholar, is an academician. Romila Thapar is a scholar, as an academician. Upinder Singh, scholar and academician. Another scholar, he must be or she must be very efficient. We have nothing against, no grudge against him or her. But I'm saying that read a textbook. It will give you the additional dimension you need. Additionally, once you mature, तुम लोग जो generally book list के ऊपर लड़ते हो, you do not read anything. Problem ये है, you start reading with one. I will cover the new NCERTs. I will cover Upinder Singh, not the entire text, of course. Certain excerpts, whatever you need it for your syllabus. I will cover multiple texts, Tamil NCERTs, whenever and whatever content is essential as per my experience and judgment. I will cover them, right? So you will only follow this text. So that is all about the book list. Let us proceed. और यहीं पे सारा जो है गिला शिकवा खत्म कर लो book list को लेके. इसको दोबारा जो है you will try not to carry, ना? No question, I suppose, from the book list. Let us come back. What about NCERT? बढ़िया, चालू हो गया. यही डर था मुझे. ये चलता रहेगा. अब देखो, प्री हिस्ट्री. सी, I will discuss about the developments towards modern man. Developments towards modern man. तुम लोग जो पढ़ पाओ तुम्हारे लिए वही. Again, we are also trying to interact, try to understand the newer generations, how they operate. No? We have seen in our experience overall you have less propensity towards reading. It does not mean that you are inefficient. मेरी बात को negatively कभी नहीं लेना. You have other means of consumption of knowledge. Right? तो एक phase के बाद probably you are less keen in looking at textbook, but you want your selection for civil services. You also need that classical approach as well. I will say that some of you and some of us, let us combine. मैंने ये भी नहीं बोला you have to, again for our days if you are finding old and new, we had read both. We did not complain about that. It is not that we were wiser or we are right. It is not that like that. We generally think that new is always worse. It is absolutely, you are the future. You are more efficient, you are more capable, you are the evolution of mankind. So that is fine. I am saying that read one. Let us have the habit of reading first. Let us be comfortable with the subject. Then you will read. ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं, मैं लिस्ट का तो मैं 50 किताब दे सकता हूँ. I have read all of them. थोड़ा सा शो ऑफ भी कर लिया. Again does not mean that I want you to read them. Neither you have the time. You are more capable, na? All you have to do, are you here only to study ancient and medieval Indian? No. तुम्हें environment and ecology करना है. Science and technology, many other subjects are there. So I will recommend only limited amount of effort from you, your side. Rest, we are here for it. I will give you some reading materials. I will discuss certain elements. I will do some board work. I will dictate and it will be covered, right? So panic नहीं करो. Developments towards modern man. See, when we, let us start the discussion by beginning of time. When everything began. Can you give me a timeline for when everything began? The Big Bang, all right. अच्छा एक काम करते हैं ना, मुझे लगता है कि some of you are not aware about BC, BCE, CE and AD. I hope not all of you are aware about it. If not, see, when we talk about events, na, give me just a moment to get back to my original lecture. When you talk about an event, ghatna, history is all about events. We are learning about these events. Na? So we have two parameters for events. What are these two parameters? Number one is space. Number two is time. They will have three dimensions. It has the fourth dimension. Now please understand, if you keep one constant and change the other one, will it impact the event? Difficult हो गया मुझे लगता है. See, suppose what is the time now? 10 बज रहे हैं. Here we are in old Rajendra Nagar. Keeping the time constant, we change it to Bhopal. Will the same lecture be going on? No. The event will be impacted by it. Now suppose we keep the location constant, old Rajendra Nagar, and the time to be 100 years from now. Will the beginning, building, all these things, infrastructure, will be constant? No. That means the parameters are dependent upon two elements. One is space, the other one is time. History, that means UPSC is fascinated with this idea. And so are we. जो भी, क्योंकि हम लोग किस लिए आए हैं यहाँ? Knowledge gain करने? नहीं. फालतू बातें. We are here for selection. The one thing I care about you is your selection. बाकी इतना दिन जो है knowledge तुम लोगों ने ले चुके हो, I will accept. And your entire life is remaining to gain all the knowledge you can. Here we are primarily one target, clear the paper. Suppose what is the application of our knowledge? Suppose there is a kind of question, there was a question asked in your prelims. Are you aware about Timur the Lame or Timur Lane? He was a Turkish invader. If you're not aware, he was a Turkish invader. In 1398, he entered India from India's northwest. I hope it is clear. So a Turkish invader, Timur the Lame or Timur Long, he came from India's northwest. The question is, Devaraya II of Sangam dynasty. What did he say? Devaraya II of Sangama dynasty, that is Vijayanagara Empire, was contemporary to Timur's invasion in India. Again, a student experiencing this or reading this for the first time will be completely flummoxed, perturbed, disturbed. कोई idea नहीं है ना? You have never read about any interaction between the two. And yet, is it a valid dimension? Yes. That means you being alert or you training yourself towards this direction or dimension. Those students will find it a walk in the park, a very easy journey. For those who are encountering this for the first time, will find it next to impossible. How would I know any interaction between the two? For example, Timur invaded in 1398. Devaraya II, the time period is 1425 to 1446. Are they contemporary? No. Do you understand the term contemporary? From same time. So Timur invaded from 1398 and Devaraya II is 1425 onwards. So they do not overlap, their timeline do not overlap. That means it is an incorrect statement. So that is the training for us as well. We will gradually indulge. Right now it probably will not make sense to most of you. However, we will train on these lines. Coming back, when we look at time, space is mostly Indian subcontinent. We are not going to discuss, that means we are not going to work on entire world. We are primarily going to deal with the Indian subcontinent. Now, there are certain terminologies सपोज व्हाट इज द ईयर टुडे, वो खत्म हो गया अब, मानो कि 20, चलो लिख दे 2025, राइट? दैट मीन्स it's been 2025 years from something, right? There is what calendar are we using? Can anybody answer? Yes? Acha, I have two questions. Very good. Acha, I have two questions. Again, what is the official calendar of India? Shakaira. Very good. Excellent. Shakaira is 78C or 78, right? Now we also use Gregorian calendar. Gregorian calendar was developed in 17th century, right? So here we start from zero. Why zero? Zero, as per the Gregorian calendar, it is celebrated as the birth of Christ. It is celebrated as the birth of, that means generally, conventionally we say since the birth of Christ, Anno Domini. Instead, we used to write 2025 AD. Today, we live in a secularized world. We have secularized this element. Thereby, instead of Anno Domini AD, what do we write today? Common Era. Or instead, we write CE. I hope it is clear. So that means 2025 years. What happens? You go back in a number line. You go back, you get minus 100, right? Minus 200, or suppose we go minus 2025. Instead of my minus, what do we say? 2025 years. That means before the birth of Christ. That means before Christ. That is known as BC. Instead, what do we call it today? Before Common Era. I hope you understand. That means if I say from 100 BC, how many years till to Zen? That means, what is the total time period spent from 2025? 2025 plus 100. I hope it is clear. That means how many years from present? 2125. Instead, what we will call, suppose this is the timeline we are looking into. Na? Suppose this is the timeline we are looking into. From here to here. So instead, what we will call it? 2125 BP. What does it stand for? Before present. Is it clear? Now, before present, it is a rather incorrect measurement of time. Why am I saying incorrect measurement? That means if I give this data, it is only relevant for today. It is not relevant 100 years from now. Did you understand? BP, it is just a perspective. We will continue to use BC and CE. We generally, for layman's language, to communicate with a layman who is not initiated with the discipline of history, we may use before present. For historians, for scholars, for academicians, we will keep on using Common Era and before Common Era. Any questions here? Any query you did not understand, any particular element, you please ask. उसमें कोई शर्म नहीं है. There is no shame in not understanding. Yes. AD, in Latin it is known as Anno Domini. It is fine. नहीं जानो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. It means since the birth of Christ. मतलब if you are today, what year we are living in? 2025, na? So we will say 2025 CE. That means Common Era. Conventionally, it was since the birth of Christ. Christ के birth के 2025 साल हो चुके हैं, right? So that is to explain that. That means to celebrate the Christianity. That means celebrate the birth of Christ. उसे उसी तरीके से ऐड किया गया था. Today we have secularized. मतलब हमें समय को जो है secular, उसके साथ religious connotation नहीं ऐड करना था. Instead we are writing Common Era 2025. Clear? Again, suppose a student said that Paleolithic period started in 2.5 million. Is she wrong? Not at all. There are different perspectives. So instead, what do we write? Circa. That means we write C dot. What does it mean? Approximately. Because timeline, it is not fixed. We will work on that further. Please write it down. Any other question? Just for the sake of example, right? For example, suppose you want to explain 5000 BP in context of 2025, 5000 years before present. That means in terms of CE and BC, you have to explain that. That means try to understand. When we say suppose 2025, let me take another simpler example. When you want to say 2025 BCE, that means how many years from present? Today it is 2025. You to reach zero, how many years you have to traverse? 2025 years. From 0 to 2025, how many years? 2025. If you add 2025 plus 2025, what will it be? 4050. That means instead what you will write? 4050 BP. Did you understand? Again, I'm taking another example. Suppose you want to say 3000 BC. That means in terms of BP, can you explain that? 2025 plus 3000. What will it be? 5025. Is it clear? That means BP. Again, try to understand the mathematical error. Suppose I am living in 20, suppose this is 2025 now. Suppose I am living in 2125. So if I still use 2025 BP, will I be correct? No. Because I have already worked another 100 years. That means for some scholars, after 100 years, BP will not be a correct measurement of time. We will keep on continuing the parameters of BCE and CE. Think about it, you will get some clarity. I hope it is clear. Coming back to our discussion. Developments towards modern man. Now, suppose I write 13.6 billion years ago. Yes. वो तो वही हो गया ना, कॉमन एरा मतलब तो वही है, वो तो चेंज नहीं करना है फिर. कैसे प्रॉब्लम आया? हाँ, जोड़ देना है उसे. देखो एक नंबर लाइन समझते हो ना, यू अंडरस्टैंड. नंबर लाइन, सपोज ए नंबर लाइन, इसमें 100 इधर डाल दिया मैंने, 10 में, इधर माइनस करके डाल दिया मैंने. सपोज यहाँ -90 है, -90 से 0 आओगे कितने जोड़ के? 90 से 100 आओगे कितना जोड़ के? 190 हो गया. बस नंबर लाइन का खेल है और कुछ नहीं. Yes. No, before present. That means we want to identify. Today you will say 2025 CE. बोल दोगे फिर लोग घबरा जाएंगे. तो before present, that means if you want to look at past, you want to talk about, suppose 5000 years from now. That means what will you say? 5000 years before present. Today is present. 5000 years from the present. That means you will go back in time. That's it. कोई बहुत रॉकेट साइंस मुश्किल वाली बात नहीं. थोड़ा सेटल होने देना. टेक सम टाइम, इट विल सेटल डाउन. नो प्रॉब्लम. देख के हो सकता है नया लग रहा हो. ये कोई बहुत कॉम्प्लिकेटेड आइडिया नहीं है. इट इज जस्ट ए नंबर लाइन. व्हेन वी से व्हाट ईयर आर वी लिविंग इन, व्हाट विल यू से? तो तुम्हें पता ही है ना, इतने साल से बोल रहे हो. 2025 CE, कॉमन ईरा. नहीं क्यों हो? अच्छा हो, ठीक है मान लिया मैंने. ठीक ऑलराइट. हाँ, टाइम मशीन चाहिए उसके लिए. टाइम मशीन. हाँ, ये तो समय में ट्रैवल करने की बात कर रही है, हम लोग नहीं कर रहे हैं. बाद में वो तुम लोग वक्त लो. हाँ, वी विल फिगर इट आउट. और इसके बारे में सवाल नहीं पूछना. एक ही सवाल से मैं घबरा चुका हूँ. पूछो वैसे. नहीं वो क्या सोच रही है, मत उसमें दिमाग लगाओ. ये तो भावनाओं में बहक गया. Suppose 13.6 billion years ago, so we call it the beginning of time. Beginning of time. This event is known as Big Bang Theory, or the Great Big Bang, or the Big Bang. From 13 point, that means what does it constitute? That is creation of universe. Creation of universe. From 13.6 billion years ago, we'll jump forward to 4.6 billion years ago. Billion years ago. See, am I using any such complications such as BCEC? No. Why? Because it is irrelevant. Can you answer why is it irrelevant? What is a billion? Billion मतलब कितना होता है? 100 crore, 100 crores. 1 crore is 10 to the power of 7. 1 billion is 10 to the power of 9. I hope in here 2000 years, does it matter? No, it absolutely doesn't. So thereby we are simply writing 13.6 billion years ago. From here we have jumped forward to 4.6 billion years ago. What does it, why is it important? This is the creation of solar system. Solar system, that means creation of or formation of Earth. Formation of Earth. Again, whatever we have around us in a gaseous form, gradually it will solidify, right? That means gradually, whatever we are studying, that means this is the beginning of astrophysics basically. From universe, all the complications, nuances. This is the beginning of astrophysics. From here, we learn the understanding of geography, right? Suppose from 4.6 billion years ago, we jump forward to 3.5 billion years ago. From 13.5 to, from 4.6 to 3.5 billion years ago. What is this known as? That means the beginning of life on Earth. Beginning of life on Earth. That means this in terms of discipline. That is the beginning of biology, of course. First, the unicellular organism, amoeba. From the unicellular, we get multicellular organisms. Gradually, we proceed towards, for example, flora. Then we transform towards fauna. In fauna, we have the evolution towards all these things, amphibians, reptiles, towards aves, and finally mammalia. Within mammalia, we have beginning of apes. From this transition, 3.5 billion years ago, we finally jump towards 6 million years ago. What is million? 10 lakhs. That means we are talking about 60 million years ago. 60 lakh saal. That is the rise of hominids. Rise of hominids. Now, who are the hominids? That means it is that means group of mammalia, and this is the earliest traceable ancestor to modern man. All the apes within which the closest ancestor that we have is hominid. That means closest or rise of closest ancestor to modern man. From 6 million years ago, we jump towards 2 million years ago. What do we find from hominid? We find the rise of Homo habilis. Homo habilis. Again, from hominid, we have the rise of Australopithecus, Australo, that means southern ape. That means earliest ancestor, human developed in Africa, right? And they migrated everywhere else. When we talk about rise of Homo habilis, that means the hand or front limb started becoming operational. That means humans started making tool for the first time. This marks the beginning of Paleolithic period. What is the literal translation of Homo habilis? Skillful man. Homo habilis, it means skillful man. This marks the beginning of Paleolithic period basically. Marks the beginning of Paleolithic period. Now we are not going to look into these complications. Basically from Homo habilis, we have another evolution that is known as Homo erectus. What is Homo erectus? Gradually from 4 limbs, the earliest man will start to walk or depend on these hind 2 limbs. What is it known for? Migration. Rapid human migration is associated with Homo erectus. Associated human migration. Another major development. That means, by the way, beginning of Paleolithic period and making of tools basically. Beginning Homo habilis marks the beginning of making of tools. Again, Homo erectus could not stand completely erect. And also, humans are the only creature in this planet who can walk completely depend on the the hind 2 limbs. Our journey to walk on 4 legs to 2, it is quick or slow? It is extremely quick. Again, the transition, no other creature can walk or completely walk on two legs. Give me an example. Completely on two limbs, it will not. A bear can stand erect for some time. There are many creatures from the mammalia group. Human beings completely depend on two legs. And the journey is rapid. This is the only reason human are the only creature within the mammal who will have cervical problems. घोड़े को देखा है कि वो गले में पट्टा बांध के घूम रहा है, ये बैक इंजरी हो गया है, वो स्लिप डिस्क हो गया है? नो. Human will have these problems because we have evolved too rapidly. See, Homo erectus could not stand completely, but human migration began with Homo erectus. Now, from Homo erectus, we have the evolution towards Homo sapiens. Man starts becoming smart. And what are you? Homo sapiens. Sapiens. You are modern man. This is the scientific name for modern man. That what you are. We are not going to go into the complications of timeline, but this is the evolution or development towards modern mind. That means from from 2 million towards present. Towards present, right? देखो बोलता है कैंगरू, ये ओवर स्मार्ट. कैंगरू डिपेंड्स ऑन टू लेग्स एंड कैंगरू मार्सुपियल होता है. पेंगुइन, इट इज एविस नॉट मैमेलिया. ऑस्ट्रिच, चलो मैं भी कर सकता हूँ ऐसा. तुम अकेले स्मार्ट थोड़ी ना हो. यस. होमो हैबिलिस एंड ऑस्ट्रन, नो 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 नो, उसमें जाओ ही नहीं. मैंने समझाने के लिए बताया. मैन आर, देखो तुम्हें माइग्रेशन पैटर्न बाद में मुझे समझाना है. आई विल डिस्कस द माइग्रेशन पैटर्न ऑफ, दैट मीन्स वी विल डिस्कस द बिगिनिंग ऑफ मॉडर्न मैन वाज फ्रॉम अफ्रीका. फॉर दैट पर्पस आई सेड ऑस्ट्रेलोपिथिकस. ऑस्ट्रल दैट मीन्स सदर्न एप, लिटरली ट्रांसलेट्स टू सदर्न एप. तो उस पर्पस के लिए बताया. ये लिस्ट कंप्लीट करो. आई विल वर्क ऑन दैट. आई विल डिस्कस ना. From which timeline we know about history with some proof. We will work on it. We also have proofs from the period. See, we will work on how we stamp it with, that means time stamping. We use it with C14. That means organic compounds can be done in this method. There are different processes to identify time. We will work on that. Radiation method, many technologies. We will not discuss about the technologies here, but they are fairly, they can be placed in time as well. Right. That is the evolution towards modern man. Right? Suppose I make this categorization on the basis, or I will write it on this line. Na? Evolution or developments on the basis of Earth's crust. See, we divide the phases on the basis of Earth's crust. Achha, you have some understanding of geography. Earth started solidifying, right? And the outer layer started solidifying, right? The innermost layer is still in the molten state, right? The outer layer or the crust has solidified. On the basis of Earth's crust, we divide the age of Earth into 4 phases basically. Number 1, primary. I'm not going to write it. Secondary, tertiary. What is the present age we are living in? It is quaternary. Quaternary age. Now quaternary age is divided into 2 epochs. What is the last epoch? Pleistocene. अच्छा, geography classes नहीं हुए. Pleistocene. And the present epoch is Holocene. For the purpose of prelims, what is the present epoch we are living in? Holocene. What is the last epoch? That is Pleistocene. Pleistocene. Pleistocene began 2 million years ago. That means you look at your timeline and tell me which period does it coincide with. Beginning of Paleolithic period. Homo habilis. That means that is Pleistocene. That is just 20 lakh years. 20 lakh साल हुए उसके. Now, what is Holocene epoch? That means began circa 12,000 BCE. That is end of last ice age. That means ice started melting, the globe earth started warming up. So this is the beginning of, that means end of last ice age and beginning of global warming. So this is what we known as Holocene epoch. That is began circa 12,000 BCE, end of last ice age. Please write it down. Some scholars also argue. Acha, first write it down. I'll share another story. Yes. What is? Epoch, that is a phase classification of ages. Ages are further categorized into epoch. EPOCH, classification of time. Epoch is a classification of time. Ages are subdivided into epochs. Some scholars also argue that we are living in the age of man. That means the beginning of industrial revolution is the beginning of, that means we have such a wide footprint upon the universe. We have, nothing remains the same anymore. That is why some group of scholars argue that we are living in the age of man. What is the term used for it? Anthropocene. However, the international community does not acknowledge it. The academic community does not acknowledge it. The moment it will do, I will write it here. This is a term you should be accustomed with. That's it. Right, I hope all of you have written. Now this overlapping elements, you should be aware about it. It will take some time, work on it, we will get there, right? Suppose I want to discuss, that means we are getting back at phases of prehistory. Our next discussion is phases of prehistory. What are they? Very good. We look at Paleolithic period. Paleolithic period. It literally translates to Old Stone Age. Acha, on what basis we are categorizing the phases of history? On what basis? Very good. On the basis of stone tools or other tools used. So Paleolithic period is Old Stone Age. Please understand, it is the longest period. Na? Paleolithic period is further subdivided into lower, middle and upper Paleolithic. Please understand, it looks exactly the opposite. तुम लोग confuse हो जाओगे. ये उल्टा है. That means which one is the oldest? Lower, upper, middle. तीन ही ऑप्शन है तुम्हारे पास. इसी में तुम्हें बाजी लगानी है. This is confusing, na? Please remember, the oldest is the lower and upper is the recent most, na? It is the oldest. Write it down, else you will get confused. Oldest and upper is recent most. Paleolithic period followed by Mesolithic. Mesolithic period. That is, what is it? Middle Stone Age. And we have Neolithic. Neolithic. That is New Stone Age. New Stone Age. Mesolithic and Neolithic. All of you have written. See, I will dictate certain points, the dimensions of prehistory, right? I will do something like this. You have two approaches. I will dictate these points. One approach is that you will have these columns. You have Paleolithic. Acha, in this list, I will also add Neolithic followed by Chalcolithic. Chalcolithic period, na? We will cover it here itself. Chalcolithic period, that is Copper, Stone Age. Yes. Quaternary is divided into two. What is there not to understand? It's fairly simple. हॉलोसीन नहीं ये समझने वाली कुछ चीज़ था ही नहीं. हॉलोसीन मतलब देखो ये थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्लिकेट. You understand Milankovitch cycle? No. All right. Do you understand Earth? It is 23.5 degrees inclined, right? We all understand that. This angle, this changes, na? The angle changes. Today, for many thousand years, it remains as 23.5 degrees. It may change. That is why we have climate change. We have periodic ice ages and global warming. Did you understand that? Earth becomes solid, that means outer surface. We have land surface, we have ocean. The ocean will consolidate. In ice ages, it will, and periodically it will melt. Today, we are living in towards ice age or towards global warming. Global warming, that means, is natural or man-made? Both. That means global warming is expedited, accelerated by man-made reasons. This is clear. I am saying that Holocene epoch marks the beginning of global warming. That means end of last ice age. Ice age के एक दिन में खत्म हो जाता है. And all the snows, all the ice melted together and all sea everywhere. No. There will be huge, human race will be wiped out if there is all the snow caps melting overnight. But we are moving towards that. Still, the Arctic and the Antarctic, they are frozen, solid. And the sea level, it is still, that means, is not very high. It is relatively, again, if it solidifies, sea level will go down or go up? Go down. So this is what it is. Holocene marks the beginning. Again, we will place it in time. Basically, Holocene should be understood as the beginning of Neolithic. I will connect it. Give me some time. We will connect. So far, any other follow-up question? Fine. Right. We will write down about. Suppose this is how, there is one recommendation. It is your call. Howsoever, because you need a lot of space management for this method. Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic and Chalcolithic. Another method is that you will take a sheet, you will start writing Paleolithic, followed by Mesolithic, followed by Neolithic and Chalcolithic. Our next phase is to understand the settlement patterns. That means this is the a particular note about important sites, Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, whatever can be asked in your paper. We will work on that. So you can choose either which way. I would recommend if you have problems with your space, just put the heading Paleolithic period. Put the heading Paleolithic period. Acha, please understand the phases when we talk about it, they will always overlap. Generally, what is your preconceived notion? That means you will have your own set of imaginations, which is good, which is encourageable. But often what the reality and that means your imagination will not match. I am saying that you will find different phases of human evolution. They may coexist as well. I am saying that in your mind, you will always feel that Paleolithic will end completely and then will be Mesolithic. Should it work that way? No. That will always overlap. Suppose for the purpose of oversimplification, I will give you a line. For the purpose of because those who are uninitiated about the discipline of history will find it confusing. Thereby, for the purpose of simplification, for the purpose of clarity, we often give you a timeline. You are more comfortable with a particular year given for the birth of Buddha. Do you know when Buddha was born? You don't. You barely know your own birth year. तुम्हारे ही आईडी गड़बड़ हुआ है. घर वाले से पूछोगे, देखोगे 1-2 साल सरकारी नौकरी के लिए गायब हो चुका है. I am saying that your own birth year and month, it has been distorted. There has to be a fragment of population here, has no clue the date or if I ask तुम्हारे ancestry के बारे में तुम्हें 1-2 जनरेशन हो सकता है, उसके बाद देखो. अब ये नहीं कि मुझे साथ याद है. I am trying to make a point. Na? Again, the way, that means it is for the purpose of clarity. Our mind perceives more with definite contours. स्पेसिफिक डायमेंशन से समझने में आसानी होती है. दैट इज आवर इंटेंशन. वी आर गिविंग द टाइमलाइन फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ क्लैरिटी. इट इज नॉट एक्यूरेट इंफॉर्मेशन. इट हैव इट्स सिंसियर एलिमेंट ऑफ एरर. इसमें एरर मार्जिन बहुत हो सकता है. देयर कैन बी ए फेयर अमाउंट ऑफ एरर. वी विल वर्क ऑन दैट. सपोज आई एम सेइंग शुरू में ही थोड़ा बहुत, you all, who is the author of Arthashastra? You know about Kautilya. Once you attain some degree of maturity, you will understand it is not written by Kautilya. Again, there are different debates, different scholarly arguments. They are contradictory in nature. Often some scholars argue, suppose again, your preconceived notion. You think that Kautilya, Chanakya and Vishnugupta are one and the same. There is a fair possibility presented by scholars that these three are three different people. There are error margins. There are certain human folly. We have deciphered, again, until very recently, nobody knew there was a book of Arthashastra. For the purpose of clarity, when was the book that Arthashastra came into public presence, public reading? 1905. It does not mean that we are aware about the text since time immemorial. No, it was forgotten. We learnt about Ashokan edicts only as recent as 1837. We knew about Harappa and Mohenjo-daro only by 1924. When a research paper was published, official document of ASI by John Marshall, the Director General of ASI. Only then we came to know about it. This is perspective. So do not take it in the literal sense of the term. Whenever you face problem or you find it contradictory, please ask. I will try my best to give you clarity. For now, we are building perspective. It is not a rigid, all correct or all wrong. You will always remember there is nothing all white or all black. They are all perspective. They are different shades of gray. Na? Complete correct or complete incorrect to hota nahi hai. Again, we all lie in the middle. Even if you are a man or a woman of science, you will understand there are errors. Newton's laws of gravitation or thermodynamics, is it absolute in nature? Absolutely not. Na? The value of pi, is it absolute? Not at all. Again, we have these merge in humanities as well. We are building perspectives. To literal sense mein koshish karo, na lo. We will write down certain points and I will discuss in the middle as well. Put the heading, Paleolithic period. First point, it literally translates to Old Stone Age. It literally translates to Old Stone Age. Next point. It is the longest phase. It is the longest phase in human evolution. It is the longest phase in human evolution, subdivided into lower, middle, and upper Paleolithic period. Lower, middle, and upper Paleolithic period. Full stop. The lower Paleolithic period is the oldest. The lower Paleolithic period is the oldest. The lower Paleolithic period is the oldest, and the upper Paleolithic merges into Mesolithic period. Merges into Mesolithic period. Merges into Mesolithic period. Acha, when we talk about the Paleolithic period, it is the longest phase gradually. That means I have a huge amount of time to talk about. We do not know much about the evolution as well, or even if you have a general idea, we are not going to elaborately discuss. I am saying that the front and the behind limbs are fairly similar. And this period is marked by your thumb being operational. That is your capacity to hold. You are not as fine to pick up a pen and start writing, but at least you can hold. You can pick up tools. This is the beginning of Homo habilis, that means skillful man. This is the period when you will start losing body here. That means lose the power to retain temperature. Right? That gradual phases of evolution that is happening with the Paleolithic period. Now you have just learned to use tools. The tools are coarse or fine. Do you understand the terms? The tools are coarse or very fine. They have to be coarse. No? Now I'm saying that that means you are just another ape. In the chain, food chain, are you in the top of the hierarchy? Hierarchical order? No. Today, are you at the top? Yes. You are the most vicious predator, most vicious, powerful, vile creature that universe or earth has or anything known to man has known of. Today, you are so vicious that you have to put lion as endangered species and put it into zoo. I'm saying that this began overnight. No. The process did not begin overnight. Did you have nails or claws like a predatory animal, like a jaguar, leopard? No. Did you have the skills to smell like, suppose, an elephant, eyesight of a bird or a giraffe? No. That means in the ecosystem, do you enjoy the position at the top? No. Gradually, you are proceeding towards the top. A basic idea. Suppose your thumbs are barely operational. You are capable in using tools, not again fine tools. What are the kind of tools you will be choosing or doing? That is primarily for foraging or maybe hunting. Try to understand. Again, but can you hunt like a leopard? No. Thereby, generally, you are in a herd, in a pack, following the trail of a predatory animal. That means you follow the trail of a lion or a pack of lion. You will have to maintain distance as well. Because if you do not maintain distance, then you are dinner. Now the pack of lion has hunted, has consumed or killed or had their share. Who is next? A pack of probably wild dogs, maybe a pack of hyenas. Who is next? Maybe a pack of vultures. Even then, you have no role or no domination. Then you come to consume whatever is left. What is left for you? You will mostly say bones, which is quite logical. Can you consume bone? No. Then how or what will you consume then? It is argued by scholars that you will primarily consume bone marrow. Whatever that cannot be consumed by the other predatory animals. How would you consume? Tools. The bones which could not be broken by predatory animals, you can now by utilization of tools. Next. Suppose we talk about fruits. Again, this is not a hard and fast. Only your bone diet will be consisting of bone marrow. You are also high hunting, but the success rate is low. So that is, I am trying to build a perspective. Nothing is in the literal sense and absolute in character. We are just developing dimensions. Here, for the purpose of clarity, I have quoted, suppose, Yuval Noah Harari. And I have shared the experience here. I have borrowed whatever the content from this text. Now, suppose you are consuming. That means you will also hunt as well sparingly. And also you will forage, scavenge for resources. Hunting and gathering. Now tell me, which one will you do the most? Hunting or gathering? If you are smart, you will always do gathering. Smart answer. Your survival should primarily depend on gathering. Why? Because hunting is risky. Hunting will have high human casualties. It will not be your primary target. I will discuss social hierarchy with this point. Give me some time. But you do not have the eyesight of a bird. You do not have the smelling capacity of another, suppose, ape or something like that. That means what will you primarily consume? All the fruits are already consumed by birds and other animals. What will you consume? Primarily, you will depend on those that was not consumed by other animals. Roots. That means roots. That means you will use these tools to dig up soil and use it for, that means for survival. That means what is the kind of tool that we are using? We use the term chopper, chopping tools. Chopper, chopping tools. What are the examples of the chopper chopping tools? Examples are hand axe and cleavers. These are the examples. I will dictate these points. Now, as archaeologists, as scholars, academicians, how will you know that these are the tools? They are not natural rocks, or are they? See, suppose there is a piece of stone. You want to use it for chopping or scraping or digging. How will you use? It has natural shape smoothened by constant contact with running water. smoothened on the surfaces. How would you use it for the manufacturing of a tool? You will chip on a side, right? That means one side will be chipped. That is how you understand it is a tool. If you pick up a rock, that means there is no human intervention. Can I say it is an artifact? No. If there is human intervention for honing its capacity, which shows skill as well, that is the example of an artifact. Now the stone is chipped on one side. You understand? Glazed surface. You will find a glossy glazed surface and a sharp edge here. This side we will be using and this side for holding. Gradually you will find two sides are chipped. That means these tools. Primarily it will be like this. These are the examples of chopper chopping tool. Let us look at it, write it down. The Paleolithic men, next point, Paleolithic men used chopper chopping tools, and examples include hand axe, single term, single word. You can consult the spelling on the board. Hand axe and cleavers. Hand axe and cleavers. 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 Hand axe and cleavers. Next point. Primary economic activity. I hope you understand the term. That means ways of survival, subsistence. The primary economic activities included hunting and gathering. Next point. We do not find the evidence of domestication of animals and food cultivation. I hope you will remember. That means, do we find evidences of domestication of animals? No. Do we find evidences of food cultivation? Also no. I hope you will remember. Now I am asking that from this sentence, can you decipher the position of women in a Paleolithic hunting-gathering society? What can we deduce regarding the position of women in contrast to a later agrarian society? It is always about perspective. है कि नहीं? We have to compare it with another time. I'm saying that comparing with another agrarian society. What can we say? The position of women were high or low? दो ही ऑप्शन है हमारे पास, हाई और लो के बीच में. हाई. Why? Women are gathering the most. तो मैंने आज ज़्यादा मशरूम ले आया, मेरी इज्जत ज़्यादा. काइंड ऑफ गलत भी नहीं बोल सकता. That means economic viability, probably one of the reason. Anything else? What constitutes position of women? No domestic division of work. I can agree to some extent, but I have to say that there has to be some segregation of work. In every society, you have to, though you are not wrong either. I will have some clues from your verdict. What else? Again, what constitutes position of women? Think about that. Sorry? Increase in population. You are closer, but मुझे पता करना है कि गलती से सही बोला कि सही से गलत बोला. Yes, it is very close. Now, when we look at position of women, one is right to her womb. Right to her own womb. That means the choice of becoming a mother. It is a very practical kind of. I hope you will all agree. Next is, that means her viability in social life. Try to understand. Suppose I am saying a nomadic cattle herder. Think about it. Nomadic, they constantly migrate everywhere. Here, the gap between two children will be small or high. The gap will be prolonged. The duration between the gap between two children has to be less or more. Less. मोर, दो ही ऑप्शन है अगेन. इसी के बीच में हमें जो है कुछ ना कुछ करना है. थिंक अबाउट इट. इन नोमैडिक हर्डर्स, दैट मीन्स हंटिंग गैदरिंग सोसाइटी, ह्यूमन बेबीज, they need more attention or less attention in contrast to other groups of mammals? Way more. Generally speaking, to make a child competent, it takes nearly 6 to 7 years. For some cases 20, 25, 30, maybe more. That's a different equation. I'm saying that it takes nearly 7 years. That means, suppose there is a mother who is responsible for catering to the demands of the child. Always the mother, no other exception here. Who is responsible for catering to the requirements of the baby, infant? The mother. Now, in a nomadic hunting gathering society, you as the mother will create more distance between the children or less distance? More. Because if you keep the gap less, you will become a burden upon the tribe and the tribe will abandon you. Do you understand that? That means the fertility rate of any hunting gathering society will be high or low? Low. I hope it is clear. Also, women are associated with gathering. I am not saying that women not associated with, this is where I would like to say that there is no particular, there is element of division of labor and also no particular distinction. Now, if primary responsibility of the tribe is vested upon the women, it will indicate high social status or lower one. It will indicate high social status. Now think about in an agrarian society. If you are supplied with steady food, steady supply of food, here you will keep the gap more or less between two infants. Less. You need more labor in the workforce. Food is now more steady. We will work on different perspectives, by the way. So naturally speaking, gradually with an agrarian society, we generally notice a declining position of women. So we will argue on. This is not the only explanation, please understand that. One of the perspectives. Write down. What is domestication of animals? We will work on that. Fairly, whatever it sounds like. Write down. Between hunting and gathering, next point, between hunting and gathering, gathering was given more importance. Gathering was given more importance. And was generally carried out by women. And was generally carried out by women. Continue, please. Full stop. Thus, economic viability translated to higher social status. Translated to higher social status. Translated to higher social status. That means in contrast to later agrarian society, right? Higher social status. Achha, there are certain developments of the Paleolithic period you have to understand. By around 50,000 years, we generally argue that the vocal cords started thinning. Some scholars place this time period at different times. Generally, roughly speaking, 50,000 years from present. What do I mean by thinning of the vocal cord? High pitched voice. झगड़ा कर सकते हैं. Thinning of the vocal, that means you can create more undulations. That means development of language. Do we know when language developed? We cannot possibly know. That is our problem, na? Can we know when language evolved? No. But from the anatomical changes, if there is thinning of the voice, that means definitely you are using the voice for some purpose. Voice, that means sound is produced by almost every creature, right? However, human will use it for purposes other than meeting the basic requirements. That means courtship or threat. The voices we produce, it is to understand we have united. Imagination is connected with language. You cannot imagine anything without language. Or else it will just become a dream. Think about it. Again, इसको तुम्हें realize करना होगा. You cannot think anything without language. That means you have become more greatest, you have become most powerful because of language. Human imagination is primarily triggered by language. And you will understand the cultural depth with the evolution of language. A society with a more advanced language is a marker of an advanced society, advanced civilization. I hope we are on the same page here. That means that is happening during the Paleolithic period. Next is the development of, that means the controlled usage of fire. Humans were aware about fire, but were threatened by fire. Fairly agreeable. By around 30,000 BC, that means 30,000 years from now, you have, or humans learned to use, that is controlled usage of fire. Can you say what are the benefits of fire? The most important point, what will you safeguard from wild animal? But most important, yes? Food. This is, I believe that, personally feel that food has to be the most important point. Why? Yes? तू सर्व, अच्छा खाना तो सर्व, ये तो बड़ा इतना कड़वा सच, पेट भरने के लिए, अच्छा टेस्ट, ठीक है, तंदूर, सही, यस, सी, यस, यू आर सेइंग समथिंग, नहीं वो बहुत पीछे से बेचारा, बताओ, उधर से एकदम आते आते गायब कर दिया, बोन से क्या हुआ? तो न्यूट्रिशियस बोलना चाहोगे कि इंक्रीज इन शेल्फ वैल्यू? यू आर एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट दो. दैट मीन्स दिस इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एलिमेंट. आई एम सेइंग दैट कैन यू कंज्यूम कॉम्प्लेक्स कार्बोहाइड्रेट? तुम्हें मैंने कच्चा गेहूं दे दिया. विल यू बी एबल टू मिलेट, रागी, barley? We cannot consume that. When you cook that means can you digest that now? Yes. Can you consume spinach? No. When you boil it, when you cook it, can you consume now? Yes. That means your dietary basket has improved or deteriorated? Improved. You can bring more food items. That means your survival is more ensured or less ensured? More. Are you susceptible to microbes, bacteria and viruses anymore? No. When you cook the food, the shelf value, shelf life of food increases or decreases? Increases. Now the most common reason for death, that is dysentery, diarrhea. When you cook food, boil it or burn it, do you have higher chances of survival? Yes. Also, what is the basic time? For example, another from mammalia, mano buffalo या any other. What is the time for consumption of carbohydrate? कितना वक्त लेता है वो खाना खाने में? बड़ा मुश्किल है नहीं, मैंने वो खाते ही रहते हैं, सही चबाते रहते हैं. That is rumination. Now, what is the time? Nearly 20 to 24 hours. They will need additional 4 stomachs, right? Humans, do we have 4 stomachs? No. Can you consume? And no. What is your lunch hour? कितना वक्त मिलता है lunch के लिए? 15 to 20 minutes. Why? Because of fire. That means, what is the point I am trying to make? Can you decipher from here? There is an element known as surplus of time. This is all connected with fire. If you have surplus of time, that is a precondition for human evolution. Your brain, neocortex, your brain consumes most of the food that you eat, utilizes most of the food that you eat. If you have easy digestible nutrition, that means what does it indicate? Quicker human evolution, quicker development of the brain. That means human evolution is connected to fire. Also, if you have surplus of time, how does it reflect? See, fire, now the next phase. You have secured a cave for yourself. You have, for any Paleolithic man, your time is between sunrise and sunset, nothing beyond. When you have fire, you have another, that means what do you have? Surplus of time. How would you utilize that? In human evolution. Thereby, cave dwelling, utilization, controlled utilization of fire, development all reflect to cave painting. That means from upper Paleolithic towards Mesolithic, what will you find? Prehistoric cave painting. What does it denote? The earliest reflection of human cognitive abilities in the form of painting and also music, dance, etc. That means fire has such dimensions. These are examples, these understandings will help you write better essays, better answers in your means if you follow the logic together. Classes are not designed only for ancient and medieval India. It is to help you grow as a prospective civil servant. तुम्हारी the ability for you to see and perceive will be improved with time. उसी का एक constant process है. We are constantly engaging for that purpose. Right? Let us write these points down. Write down. By 50,000 BC, or write down around 50,000 years. Around 50,000 years ago. We are not avoiding the complications. Around 50,000 years ago, humans probably humans probably started developing language. Humans started probably developing language around 30,000, next point, around 30,000 years ago, around 30,000 years ago, humans started using fire, for cooking of food, and safety from wild animals, Full stop. Next point, discovery of fire is directly connected with human evolution and creation of surplus time. Full stop. By upper Paleolithic period, we witness the earliest prehistoric cave paintings. Right, although most amount of paintings are associated with Mesolithic period. Now, what is the example? The example is Bhimbetka. If you see all the prehistoric paintings, again, it will be covered in your culture classes. I'm just intimating about you. How to differentiate Upper Paleolithic cave painting and Mesolithic. Upper Paleolithic cave paintings are stick like one-dimensional figures. And the animals are very large in contrast to human images. That is how we distinguish. Recently, a paper was conducted by UPSC. They asked the question, who was associated with the discovery of Bhimbetka? It is a very fairly, that is easy question. Who is aware about it? V.S. Wakankar. In 1960s, he was associated with the discovery. So again, the questions that are being asked, if you have the right approach, they are not going to be difficult. Abhi class tumhe agar difficult lagta hai, you have to accustom yourself. Train yourself to be comfortable with the classes. Your questions in prelims and mains will then become very easy. Abhi agar taklif uthate ho, if you take the burden here, your next journey will be easy. Dekho 10 saal pehle, when we used to appear, the questions that were asked today, it is very easy. You can answer it immediately. But UPSC has attained a saturation point. Na? Then they look for dimension, they look for clarity, they look for analytical abilities. You will develop that. Once you develop that, you will find the questions on the fairly easier side. तुम्हें बड़े आसानी से वो जवाब मिल जाएंगे. So your training has to be on the difficult side. Na? So here I am saying that the earliest prehistoric painting is associated with which period? Upper Paleolithic, that is what you have written here precisely. However, most of the prehistoric paintings are from which period? Mesolithic period. I will add this when I will be dictating Mesolithic. I will not be extending this here. Write down. That is all about Paleolithic. Put the heading Mesolithic period. Mesolithic period. Write down. It literally translates to Middle Stone Age. Middle Stone Age. And it marks the transition between Paleolithic, transition between Paleolithic and Neolithic period. Paleolithic and Neolithic period. Next point. The primary economic activity, the primary economic activities or primary economic activity include hunting and gathering, hunting and gathering, hunting and gathering, along with domestication of animals, along with domestication of animals, along with domestication of animals. Full stop. We find no evidence of, we find no evidence of food cultivation from the period. Food cultivation from the period. Now my question to you, how would you understand that this period, that is men started domestication of animals? What from archaeological evidence? Suppose you are an academician, you went to a site, started excavations. How would you know that this period, in this particular phase, humans started domesticating animals? Remains, bone remains. But imagine in a hunting gathering society, you will also find bones. By paintings, which is, I have to agree now, which is a valid kind of response. From paintings, we can decipher about domestication or anything else. Animal remains. देखो ये correct कैसे? And suppose you are a hunting society, you have also you will have a large deposits of bones in nearby to your settlements. It does not help you distinguish. How would you say they have domesticated them? Yes? I do not understand. But they will not stand the test of time. ये वर्ड ही मैं समझ नहीं आ रहा है. अच्छा, और खेती, अरे plowshare, no, अरे they will be from an food cultivating society, ना? So you will not be finding in a domestic, that means we are still not cultivating food. Plowshare, I get it. तो plowshare, अरे तुम लोग बात नहीं करो ना. तुम लोग उससे आगे बढ़ ही नहीं रहे हो. तुम लोग हर अच्छा, remains will be buried together. ये ऐसा क्यों अतरंगी शौक है? देखो, there are different elements you have to. I have a pet dog does not mean I will have it for lunch. Do you understand? That means domestication has different intentions. Do you get that? Again, domestication will have different perspectives for it. When we say, अब मेरी बारी, देखो, when we say that domestication of animals, that means we have to find archaeological evidences. Suppose थोड़ा सा और है, तुम लोग बड़े पेशेंस दिखाए हो, मतलब पहली क्लास में होता नहीं है. आई एम रियली अगेन आई एम सेइंग दैट सपोज कि देयर इज ए animal remains. How would you understand they are domesticated? You will find it from the teeth. Again, I am saying that you have thoda sa aur patience bas. Again, suppose the bone of a wild animal and the bone of a domesticated animal, which one will be more durable, more rugged? Wild animal. I hope you agree. The teeth of a domesticated, suppose a herd of sheep, and a wild variety, which one will be more crooked? Crooked as in disturbed. Wild, because they have to forage on unforgiving kind of circumstances. If you have a domesticated animal, you will have steady source of food. You will have more meat. You will have more. Again, you will breed only those with more hair or less hair. More will produce. नहीं, तुम वही करोगे. Again, you will produce. That means you will breed those variety of dogs which bite the owner or are loyal to the owner. I hope you get the point. That is actually a form of selection, right? You will only breed the fowl. Fowl, that means suppose chicken. Bird, which will produce more meat. You will only breed those animal or that will produce more meat or more milk or more wool. That is natural method of selection. Next archaeological evidence, if you have domesticated, if you hunt an animal, will it be alive or mostly dead? Mostly dead. अगर मानो तुमने आधा मुर्दा उठाया भी, you have half slaughtered animal, you will consume it very soon. You will not be, that means breeding or putting it in captivity. I hope it is clear. Then I am saying that Even in bones and the cut marks, you will have distinguished marks. If there is cut mark, that means that is used for culling, that means consumption purposes. Right? Most of the cases, humans will consume meat. There is no exception whatsoever. Now, another identification, if you have domesticated, you will hold them together. Is it clear? You understand cow pen? COWPEN. Cow pen, that means a place where you will hold the cattle together, that is known as a cow pen. Or suppose you will tie it with a stubble. Khutta jise bolte. That means if you hold multiple animals in one enclosed space, what will you have? Archaeologically speaking, high nitrogen content in the soil. Do you agree? The fecal discharge for a prolonged period of time will have high nitrogen content in patches of the land. That means it will be very different from the adjoining areas. These are clues that will indicate domestication of animals. I hope it is clear. Write down. Again, our discussion is always regarding tools. What kind of tool will we find associated with the Mesolithic period? Microlith. That means micro means small, lith means tool. Write down. The Mesolithic period is associated with introduction of microliths. Associated with introduction of microliths. Achha, I hope you understand microlith, small stones made primarily of flint, F-L-I-N-T, flint. Now, what is the purpose of these small stones? Couple of centimeters. What is the usage of these microliths? Can anybody take a guess? Flint is used for fire. You're not wrong either. Excellent. Flint is used for the flicker of fire. That means I will agree. No problem. What else? These cutting, scraping, but again these small stones. It will not cut very little. Again, you are hunting a buffalo and you are with this weapon. Ornaments. These are used as arrowheads. Now, what is the application of arrowheads? Now, if you are hunting with arrows, bow and arrows, you understand? And that means the distance between you and the prey is higher or lower? Higher. Your chances of survival will be high or low? Our patience. Your chances of survival will be high or low? Higher. That means human survival will become more ensured. Write down. The primary usage being making fire and arrowheads. Next point, just last point. Most of the prehistoric cave paintings are associated with Mesolithic period. That is it for today. तुम लोग 3 घंटे की क्लास होता है कि 2.5 घंटे का? 2.5 घंटे का. अच्छा 3 घंटे का होता है. लोग जो है नफरत बढ़ती जा रही है अब. Right, all the best. तो किताब तो है ही. Do you have class tomorrow? Yes. We'll meet tomorrow. We'll start with prehistory, then we'll switch towards proto-history. Right? That's it.